Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth. Our meeting date is Monday, July 20th, 2026. I'm Mayor Todd Kasenberg and I'll call this meeting to order. I ask the clerk to note our starting time for the minutes is 7 p.m. Warm welcome and greetings are extended to councillors, staff, delegations, and observers who will participate in this meeting, regardless of whether they are physically in attendance in the council chamber in Listowel or being connected through web technologies. We begin tonight's meeting with the playing of O Canada. Those in chambers as able are invited to stand. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe peoples. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous peoples in Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. Tonight's meeting is being streamed live on the Municipality of North Perth YouTube channel and will be available there after this meeting as an archived video. To those who are viewing this meeting via the YouTube channel, a warm welcome to you. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of the Council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and/or the clerk have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and/or unacceptable behavior and/or comments. Thank you. At this time, I invite your decorum over the course of the coming meeting. I have regrets tonight from Councillor Sarah Blazek. Let's move to item 5 on our agenda pertaining to pecuniary interest. Members of Council have full lives with engagement in the community. Sometimes they may find themselves with a potential financial or pecuniary interest in an item at the Council table. Provincial legislation mandates councillors to declare this interest, and in so doing to avoid direct involvement in the consideration of or voting on the item. I invite any councillor with a perceived pecuniary interest, including those who may have already declared in writing, to verbally advise the chair in public session. Documentation is to be submitted, if not already done, pursuant to council procedures. Councillors may declare now or at any point in the meeting should such interest be recognized. Colleagues, I didn't see anything in advance. Any of you have any declarations you wish to make? Okay, we'll move forward then. As chair of this meeting, I will manage the flow of proceedings tonight and largely in accord with our agenda and our rules of procedure. Some may be participating remotely by web conference. Should they wish to speak, they may draw the attention of the clerk to this using the conference technology's text chat function. If technical difficulties arise for remote participants, I will advise and send some help. I believe I saw Colton working tonight for us. Let us now focus on the people's business. Part of that focus is achieved when those in the chamber silence and put away their phones. Regarding item 6 of our agenda, I have a resolution for consideration to approve the agenda as follows, that the agenda for tonight's meeting be approved. Can I call for mover? Moved by Deputy Mayor Callum, seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Anstedt records a manual in favor vote. And that is the 9 that we account for, and the motion is carried. Thank you. Now we're at item 7 on our agenda, the so-called consent agenda. Consent items are placed on our agenda because they're believed to be non-contentious, yet they may warrant council's recognition and or action. Grouping them tends to expedite our business. However, any councillor wishing to extract an item from the consent agenda for discussion, debate, or individual action may do so. There are 14 items on our consent agenda tonight, including the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillors, anything to extract here or any changes you'd like seen made to the minutes? Councillor Rothwell.
Good evening, Mayor Kiesenberg, members of council, staff, and public. Item 7.11, please. The Town of Plimpton, Wyoming resolution regarding public sector salary disclosure inflation adjustments.
Okay, thank you. Anyone further? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone further, so let's use the usual protocol for this council, and I'll call on Councillor Rothwell to speak to item 7.11.
Thanks very much, Mayor Kiesenberg. The Town of Plimpton, Wyoming, down near Sarnia, has made a resolution for the province to consider revising the public sector disclosure provisions, which every municipality in the province also discloses salaries above the $100,000 figure. This started, I believe, in 1996, and there's been no inflationary adjustment since that time. And frankly, every year when the matter comes out, people wonder why the numbers are so high in terms of the number of positions that are making $100,000 or more. And frankly, it's just a matter of inflation since the legislation was first enacted. So to put perspective into this, I think it's appropriate if council wishes to lend its support to the Town of Plimpton, Wyoming resolution to request the province to certainly apply the suggested inflationary factors, CPI adjustments, which would be equivalent to over $180,000 today based on their resolution. And their resolution, the last part says, be it resolved that municipality, the threshold for reporting by either adding wording to or reflect the annual adjustments related to the consumer price indexes or providing the adjusted salary is $200,000 or more. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. I'm going to assume then that you are moving a resolution of support for item 7.11, the letter or resolution and information from Plimpton, Wyoming. And I assume that the resolution should include a distribution list that would include Plimpton, Wyoming itself, our local MPP, courtesy to our MP, who are the appropriate provincial stakeholders that should receive this. Do we have that? The Treasury Board?
The original CC list there's housing plaque as well as their local MPP, Simple Gray, as well as the ANO, and all material municipalities. Those are pretty broad.
So why don't we largely replicate that? CAO Snell, just a quick question. Treasury Board, like, is that should we be thinking about that?
I'd have to confirm, but I believe the original legislation sits with the Ministry of Finance.
Okay, Ministry of Finance, maybe that's the place to send it. It strikes me that there's someone beyond the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, but okay. You've kind of turned the clerk table. Looks like they're comfortable with where we're going to go with this. Can I call for a seconder? Councillor Richardson, thank you. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Anything further before we consider the general resolution for the consent matters? Not seeing it, so I have a resolution prepared for our consideration as follows, that consent item 7.1 to 7.14 be received for information and the minutes of the July 6, 2026 regular council meeting be adopted. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Anstett, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Andreessen. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. All right, that moves us along to opportunity under item 8 to have a couple of public meetings, one pertaining to a Drainage Act matter, another to a planning matter. And so I'm going to, for the purpose of executing these public meetings, use my discretion as chair of council and chair of this meeting to announce a recess that will last the duration of the public meetings. This council is in recess. All right, now we turn first. Item 8.1 is a public meeting for the purposes of considering the report from the engineer for the Ducklow Municipal Drain. Certainly any assessed landowners who are in attendance with us tonight are welcome, and if you wish to speak, you will have the opportunity to do so. At first, our first order of business in this public meeting then pertaining to this drain is to call on Brandon Widener of Spreet Associates to present the engineer's report. Mr. Widener, as always, welcome.
So good evening, everybody. Tonight we have the Ducklow drain. So this is an existing drain in the township. It's located on line 66 and road 169. So this is it's a little bit of an older project. We did have a little bit of a challenge with some of the permitting. So we've had this project since 2023. It was initiated at this time by a landowner named John Tollner, who owns the farm on the southwest corner of the intersection. So at that time, he requested to enclose the drain in his property. We then had a further request at one time from the Portinas. We looked at that for an enclosure as well, but due to the costing, they have pulled that back. And as well as, it's Mr. Loss is on the other side of the road under Dimma Farms. He asked for an enclosure as well as an improvement of the rest of the drain. So this is a previous drain from 1975. So essentially we're replacing all of it, and as well as cleaning up the intersection, and there's a number of road crossings. We are enclosing everything in the Tollner property, so you can see it zigzags through that farm. That is getting enclosed with a new tile. There's also a branch being brought up beside what is the Ewell property. So there's an existing road crossing there. We're picking that water up, as well as we're reconfiguring the intersection, catching all the water that goes there now. There's existing infrastructure there, but it is essentially at its end of life, as well as we're replacing the rest of the drain under line 66. So that's where we're at today. So you're going to see a new ditch, or the ditch is going to be improved from what we call the peat drain, which is on the far left side of the page, all the way up through the woods into Portinas. Portinas get a new culvert. The ditch is then getting dug all the way up to Mr. Tollner's, and then in Mr. Tollner's there'll be a 33-inch tile installed at the beginning, and then it gets smaller as we come up. This is about a $515,000 project, and the assessments are laid out in the schedules as we always do it. But I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. It's been some time since I've been up here, but there's lots of projects underway.
Thank you, Mr. Widener. This is an opportunity. We'll invite any assessed landowners if they're in attendance, are attending for the purpose of asking questions or registering some concerns. We'd like to hear from you at this time. So does anyone wish to avail themselves of the opportunity to speak to council in this public meeting? Please come forward. State your name and where you reside as you begin your comments to council.
Oh, thanks. Hi, Dennis Terpstra, a tenant for New Tex Farms. Just wondered if you could go over the Schedule A, the road part for me?
Okay, Mr. Widener, I think that falls on you.
So he wants to go over Schedule A?
Yes.
Well, Schedule A is allowances, is that correct?
The detail, the road detail.
Oh, so he wants to see detail A, so if you go to the plan. Guessing it's on the bottom there. Oh, so detail A is actually, it's halfway up through the farm. That's just where we cross the road from Losses into your place. That's where the existing drain is now.
Yeah, so is it still gonna be buried underneath that along the road?
Oh, so the drain will be in your property, about 20 feet in, but the intention is there'll be basins at the road. There's a new service pipe getting installed, in this case a 24-inch. There's large basins on each side, and then there's a 400 or 16-inch concrete tile that proceeds east into, is it Kenny Dewars? Is that his? Yes, so we're taking the drain all the way into Ken Dewars. He has, if I remember correctly, 10 acres at the front, which we'll then catch and give him a catch basin. So then that farm also has a legal outlet. So on the frontage of New Tex, starting at the intersection, you'll have a basin at the intersection. If you go up on the plan, Lindsay or Sarah. So there'll be an outlet provided for New Tex at the intersection of line 66 and road 169. There's another outlet provided at station 2520, which is just over, well, it's in lot 7. You then get another basin halfway in lot 7. And then there'll be one installed at Ken Dewars. So you have lots of places to connect. But this is the existing, in that instance, so everything on line 66, that's the existing route from 1975. So that's just all replacement. Everything that's being enclosed is downstream from the intersection, which is, in this case, the drain is very near the road against, I believe it's Losses, it's Dinman Farms. So the drain is essentially, you would say it's more than a road ditch, but it's slightly on his side. He asked for it to be enclosed, but it's John Tolner is he started it, let's say.
Okay. Did that address your question, sir? Thank you. Anyone else with questions or comments from landowners, those who may have attended for this purpose? Okay, I'm not seeing that. Colleagues, any of you have questions or comments? Councillor Johnston.
Brendan, one quick one. I'm assuming the delay, without the loss part of it, but the delay was DFO getting permits to close in the drain?
So when we get these projects, we do some screening. So you guys have a drainage superintendent. I'm sure you all know him. His name's Scott. So Scott actually, typically when we have a project like this, we take it. Well, Scott can pre-screen it. This drain was classified as an E originally, which means it's a stream that's permanent flowing. So Scott actually started this in 2022. 2023, the DFO met on site. They walked the drain and a permit was declined because it was considered a stream. In 2024, Mr. Richardson had the drain sampled with, he uses, also be the one from Bayfield, the Conservation Authority. They came out, did fish sampling. It was reclassified. The DFO walked it the following year, and then we did get a permit. In this case, we did receive a permit to fill the drain in all the way to where Portinas have their crossing. So getting a permit is one step of the process. We then costed the project, and the decision was to withdraw the request in Portina's. As you know, drain enclosures can be vastly expensive. So in their property, it was a 36-inch tile across, I don't remember the number exactly, but it's, Mr. Toner is on the hook for 140,000, so I think theirs was about 160 shorter distance. So, the benefit wasn't there. We pulled it back. The one thing from a conservation authority standpoint, that woods is considered a wetland. So there's like a 50-acre forest back there. The drain itself is rather flat. There's a peat drain, which is downstream. It's very flat. So Mr. Richardson actually has had all these drains maintained very recently. And to be honest, it wouldn't be viable past Portina's anyhow. It's too flat. But it's a two-sided thing. If I remember correctly, this farm's now in the wheat. Mr. Tolner will want to proceed as soon as possible, which is typically the case for farmers in Perth County. They want it as soon as possible. Yes, tomorrow. And yes, all the drains, I'll be honest, we've constructed a couple in the last couple of months, and they've worked well with the crop rotations. Like we are doing one right now, and yeah, we're going through some wheat, but it's going quite well. The condition's perfect right now, it's nice and dry. So hopefully by the time this one gets constructed, I know that the township has the tender documents ready, so hopefully we can proceed for fall.
You're sounding vaguely uncomfortable about the patience level of some of our farmers. I don't know.
Like.
All right, Councillor Duncan, I saw your hand, yeah.
Thank you. Through your mayor. Brandon, everything along the road then, you said was replacement. Is there any upgrades size-wise on that? Are you bringing that to a 1.5 coefficient, or was it already at that coefficient?
No, so everything's being brought to 1.5 inches. It's from 1975, so it's probably half or under. This drain's unique. So under the intersection, you currently have a large pipe, single pipe, CSP, rather low. You then have a catch basin installed on top of it on the top end. And it's very close to the intersection. The new design pushes everything 20 feet away. That intersection has poor, or maybe Matt has a better word for it, turning radiuses. You have a large hole. Yeah, it's a forgotten area, I'd say. The drain itself along the north-south road, it will be enclosed. So there'll still be a road ditch there, but it won't be a municipal ditch.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I'm not seeing any significant concerns having been raised this evening, so I think at this point we can consider that we've completed the business of the public meeting. And at this point, we can adjourn this public meeting. Mr. Widener, as always, thank you for coming. Okay, next up, we'll come back to the business when council is reconvened. Next up then is a meeting, a public meeting under the Planning Act. To call that meeting to order and welcome those who are attending this public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act for a proposed amendment to the North Perth zoning bylaw. This is a statutory public meeting to deal with an application for zoning bylaw amendment number ZN 10-2026 by Patterson Planning Consultants Inc. on behalf of Newland Feed and Supply Limited and West End Manufacturing Inc. for property legally described as Part Lot 16, Concession 4, Elma Ward, Municipality of North Perth, 5955, line 81. Correspondence, reports, and comments received regarding this application will be considered by council. Those in attendance wishing to make comment concerning this application will be given the opportunity to do so. In accordance with the Planning Act, specified persons or public bodies wishing to appeal council's decision in this matter must make verbal submission during this public meeting or have made a written submission to council. Those wishing to receive notice of the decision regarding this application must notify the clerk via email, telephone, or by utilizing the public meeting sign-in sheet at the back of the council chambers on the table back there, giving their mailing address and telephone number. At this time, I'm going to call for a summary of the application so that council has good consideration. This will be offered by Nathan Garland, a planner for the County of Perth who commonly works on North Perth files, and a friendly face we enjoy seeing at our table. Mr. Garland, welcome as always.
Thank you very much, Mayor Kaysenberg and members of North Perth Council. I'm here to present a rezoning application ZN10 2026. The owners are West End Manufacturing. They've recently purchased the property on behalf of Newland Feed and Supply, so the property has transferred hands. And the applicant or agent is Patterson Planning Consultant, who is unavailable, but we have Montera Planning with us, and on Alish Monteith, who is the planner presenting on behalf of Scott. The location is noted on the southern part of Listowel, so just south of Listowel, just to the east of Highway 23 along line 81. So the subject request is for an ACM-5 to an amended ACM-5. So previously the site was Newland Feed and Supply, we had the grain elevator. The site was zoned for the grain elevator operation specifically and only. The requested amendment is to allow for all the uses permitted under the ACM zone, so it would allow a wider variety of uses, along with additional special provisions. So it would allow for a farm equipment and parts manufacturing, storage in the front yard because the building is quite far back on the existing property now, 15-meter front yard setback just for that storage, so just to maintain some space between the road and the operations. Exemption from MDS1, so the MDS1 criteria and setback would not apply to this operation. A reduction down to 20 parking spaces from the required, I believe, 67 or 68 spaces. And then I will note this also, just 2 accessory structures in the front yard. So I will walk council through that slide in the next, slide. Sorry, just a couple of pictures looking south from line 81 of the existing building in operation. So currently it's primarily vacant, save and except for the building that's currently located at the back of the property. So there is that existing warehouse operation. The applicants are proposing to reutilize that warehouse and modify it for their operations, so to bring it into more of a manufacturing sense, as well as add a small addition onto it, or a larger addition. So I have presented a site plan applications that have been provided by the applicant, so I will walk council through this. The existing building on the property is highlighted in red, so that's the outlined red building. There's also an existing stormwater management pond on the property that's also highlighted in red on the square just to the west. The proposed addition, there is a proposed addition running to the east with a number of bays located off of it. There is an accessory structure proposed in front of that. Because the building's at the very far back end of the project, which is a little bit atypical for that kind of development, it does create kind of a larger front yard than rear yard in this case. So that's why there are a number of amendments requested just to address that front yard. So there is a proposed coverall and accessory structure there, as well as a potential fire reserve located on the west-hand side, proposed along the fire route, and then parking throughout the area. So there would be storage located at the front also, just for some equipment and as well as some of the different parts and supplies that they need. So just going through the application notice, and I'm happy to go back to this slide also if council has some questions and comments. The notice of application and public meeting was provided on June 25th, 2026. No comments or concerns have been expressed by any of the neighbors or staff. In support of the application, there was a planning report, site plan application, and conceptual sketch also provided. Planning supporting comments. So the development does support local agricultural and agricultural related products. So it is currently an ACM zone. So the ACM zone does support agricultural equipment manufacturing and repairs. There is an existing stormwater management pond on site, so they are reutilizing a number of the existing development on site to reestablish that. It is an adaptive reuse of the existing building. And as noted, there will be a site plan requirement. So there is a site plan requirement to address fire separation as well as traffic routes, fire storage, access, parking, etc. So that is, they are currently going through that application also. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that North Perth Council approve zoning amendment Z10, 2026. I'm happy to address or answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Garland, as always. Just checking in with the clerk's table, is there any additional information that has been submitted, correspondence, comments, or reports that we would have received at North Perth instead of at the County of Perth that we should know about?
Through you, Mayor Kasenberg, we have not received any additional correspondence.
Thank you. All right. Let's then turn our attention to the opportunity for those in attendance to make comments should they wish to do so. First, we call on those who are in favor of the application other than the applicant. If they wish to speak, this council will hear them. If that is you, please come forward to the podium, introduce yourself, and identify your location of residence. Anyone wishing to speak? Not seeing that, so let's turn next to the opportunity for those who are opposed to this application. Those who are opposed may also present to council their concerns and questions. Anyone wishing to avail themselves of that opportunity? Okay, I'm not seeing that. At this time, the applicant or the applicant's agent may present to this council. I gather that there is a desire to do so. Are you the, okay, welcome, Monteith, Ms. Monteith? Am I close?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Monteith is great, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, council, this evening. My name is Alicia Monteith. I am here this evening on behalf of Scott Patterson, who unfortunately was unable to make it. He has been carrying this application to date and working closely with the planner, so I hope to answer any questions that you may have. But of course, I believe Nathan is available to answer any questions. And further to the presentation that was made by staff, I won't spend too much time as the summary has already been provided. So. As noted, the former location is a feed mill. It is about 5.7 acres, so it is a decent sized property, but previously used for manufacturing and agricultural industry uses. And so the proposed building would be an adaptive reuse of the existing structure and an improvement upon the existing conditions of the property. There is 155 meters of frontage on line 81. There is the accessory building I've spoken about, the stormwater management facility, which is also the fire reservoir, and the existing entrances will remain as proposed. So the existing building is about 10,000 square feet, and addition is proposed as was presented by staff. I'd like to note that it is serviced by private well and septic. So currently the property is zoned the ACM-5, which does allow just the feed mill, and at this point in time they're seeking a revision back to the fulsome ACM to permit a variety of uses as well as a site-specific to include the farm implement manufacturing component of the business that will be operating in this location. So the buildings were removed in 2023, and then the agreement of purchase and sale, which my understanding is that West End Manufacturing now owns the property and will be constructing the buildings on the property. So the proposed development includes the repurpose of the accessory building for the powder coating and painting facility, as well as the construction of a new 588 square meter storage building and just over 1,000 square meter addition to the existing building. They'll be manufacturing products that support directly agricultural uses as well as other businesses which provide agricultural products to the surrounding surrounding community. And that is why they're seeking the required site-specific zoning amendment this evening. So the full range of uses permit the open storage in the front, which, as the planner had referred, is primarily due to the location of the existing building and the option to reuse the existing building, which is located farther back from the front property line, as well as exempt it from the MDS and reduce the number of parking spaces. So the parking space reduction, which is being considered, is supported by the proposed use of the property, and acknowledging that significant square footage is required to complete the work in support of the business, and zoning bylaws typically associate required parking with square footage. So instead, we're asking to reflect more so the actual needs of the business to reduce that parking space requirement. I won't go into this as the staff report has done a great job at analyzing, in particular, the provincial planning statement and the fact that this is an agriculture-related use and appears to not conflict with and really generally conform to the provincial planning statement as well as publication 851 by OMAFRA. And then, of course, under the Perth County official plan is designated agriculture in which agriculture-related uses are permitted. And as I previously spoke to, the ACM currently has the permissions for the feed mill. So in summary, the planning opinion is that the manufacturing of the farm equipment would be considered the agriculture-related use. The proposed operation would meet or greatly exceed all zoning regulations as applied through the ACM zone. And the storage in the front yard is necessary to optimize the property. The proposed development will be subject to site plan approval as discussed. That application has been made, and it's my understanding that discussions are ongoing with respect to landscape buffers and any sort of mitigation of having that front yard open storage. And then, of course, the removal. So we do appreciate staff's time in reviewing and considering the application, and we appreciate the recommendation for approval this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Monteith. Colleagues, it's your turn. Questions or comments about this application? Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Monteith. So my question's just about the parking spaces. I agree 100% with everything we're doing here. My question's about the parking spaces. How many employees will we be looking at, and is it going to be sufficient parking for the employees? That's my only question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the council member, I do not know exactly the number of employees, and if you give me a moment, the owner and the business operator is here. If I can confer with them to ask if that would be acceptable. Okay. Thank you. So, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the council member, the owner is indicating that really no more than 20 employees at any one time would be there. And so that's where the demand for the parking is primarily being driven from. Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, anyone else? Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks very much, Mayor Kaseberg, and through you, thanks very much for your presentation as well as to Nathan. The question I have with some 1,500 square meters of building area, as part of our review of the site plan approval and so on, would we be looking at on-site water storage for fire suppression on this site as well?
Through the mayor to Councillor Rothwell, it's my understanding that yes, that would be required. It's also my understanding that the existing stormwater management facility effectively doubles as the fire reservoir, as previously supported the former feed mill, and has been deemed sufficient to support the operations on the property.
Thank you very much. And through you, Mayor Todd, just a question to our planner, Nathan Garland. Oftentimes on applications where there's a planning justification report, council receives a copy of that in the application. Is that usual or not unusual that we're not seeing that one on this one? Thank you.
Through the mayor, my apologies if that was not included in the report. That is typically provided as part of the planning justification report. So that was overlooked on staff's part. My apologies for that. But
There was nothing exceptional in that report that council hasn't seen. Okay. Mr. Garland, was there anything exceptional in that report that council hasn't seen?
no, through the mayor, there was nothing additionally in that report that council has not seen or aware of.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Nordum.
Thanks, Mayor Kasenberg. I agree with Councillor Johnson. I think it's a good idea of use on that property. Just maybe one question of maybe concern, I guess. Since this was a former feed mill, when it comes to half load season, I know a lot of trucks are exempt, like milk trucks, feed trucks from half load season. Seeing as how pretty well all North Perth roads are half load, would this property be kind of affected with that? Thank you.
Through the mayor, it would be something that they would have to look at and consider as part of that. That could be addressed through the site plan agreement if they have to modify their operations during that time, et cetera. So they would be subject to that if they were not exempted from it. So
Local staff, looks like they're conferring. Is there
there might
something
be
we
some
should,
additional comments
should
from
we hear? No, they're
local
saying no.
staff.
They just want to make sure that nothing on that part. Okay? You okay?
Yep. Thank you for answering the question. I did give Public Works a warning on that question, so thank you.
Thank you. All right. I have one question. It does pertain to open storage at the front of the property. And I want to be assured that it will be orderly and that there will be any efforts made to address vermin attractability of the site. We don't really want to see nasty things showing up there. So can you tell me what you know about the plans of the proponent for managing the open storage?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the comment. And we do appreciate the comments received. I'll certainly pass them along to Mr. Patterson, as well as well, Nathan's here to receive them, but for consideration. The property would be subject to the standard municipal bylaw and property standards bylaw. And as such, would be held and subject to, I guess, enforcement on that basis. For the purposes of the front storage, perhaps something could be included in the site plan agreement that essentially indicates that all things must be kept generally tidy, et cetera. And so that could be explored further, including potentially delineating the spaces for the open storage as opposed to the dry vials, et cetera. That would be what I can provide as a response, and I will take that back with Mr. Patterson.
Thanks. Yeah. Last chance. Councillor Rothwell has another question.
Thanks very much, Mayor Kiesenberg. Just one item I wanted to point out. I'm certainly in support of this application. I think when we know that there's possible for reuse of a site, which is no longer required for that use, it's very appropriate that it's being utilized for a farm-related agricultural business, which is already within our community, but is looking at relocating to, in my view, a far better location, and hopefully will address the needs of the business owner as well as the community. So certainly in support of the proposal that we have before us, and I'm very hopeful that and thankful, frankly, that staff, both on behalf of the applicant as well as our county and North Perth staff, have done relatively timely work to see this matter come to relatively quick timing for us to see possible developments happen here sooner rather than later. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I see no other hands waving at me. Thank you, Ms. Monteith. So notice of the decision of council will be given in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. Council's decision is subject to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. And with that, we can adjourn this meeting. All right, I'm going to declare that the recess period during which public meetings were held is now over, and call our regular meeting back into properly constituted session. We have some resolutions to consider pertaining to the business that we've heard in our public meetings. First, let's turn to item 8.1. I have a resolution for our consideration pertaining to this drain as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth accepts the Ducklow Municipal Drain Report dated June 10th, 2026, prepared by Spreet Associates. Moved by Councillor Anstead, seconded by Councillor Johnston. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Next, also pertaining to the drain as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth will hold the Court of Revision for the Ducklow Municipal Drain on August 24th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Can I call for a mover on this one? Councillor Richardson, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Duncan, thank you. Any discussion or debate? August 24th. Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Now let's turn to 8.2. I have a resolution for our consideration as follows: that the Municipality of North Perth Council receives the report dated July 20th, 2026, entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Z 10-2026, prepared by planning staff, and that the Municipality of North Perth Council approves Zoning Bylaw Amendment Z 10-2026 as recommended by staff, submitted on behalf of Newland Feed and Supply Limited West End Manufacturing, Inc., affecting lands described as Part Lot 16, Concession 4, Elma Ward, Municipality of North Perth. Moved by Councillor Rothwell. Seconded by Councillor Nordum. Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is also carried. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, as always, to Mr. Garland for his work. Mr. Widener has left, but thanks to him as well for his work on the drain. And that brings us to item 9 on our agenda. Let's next consider an item from the Development and Protective Services Department as item 9.1 of our agenda. Item 9.1.1, Council is presented with an application for a red line amendment to a plan of subdivision in the Wallace Ward of the municipality. The proponent is the municipality itself, represented by MHBC Planning. The amendment corrects a few items from previous editions. We call on Nathan Garland, a planner from the County of Perth working on North Perth files, to introduce this report. Mr. Garland, back so soon.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg and members of North Perth Council. I'm here to present a red line amendment for NP 2303. This is the North Perth Plan of Subdivision located at the north end of Listowel in Wallace Ward. The subject location is noted on the screen and in the report. So once again, what a red line amendment is, it just occurs after the plan of subdivision has been approved and registered through Perth County. So it corrects some technical errors, updates to a plan, efficiencies, et cetera, that may be noted through the discussion and design process. So really, it just brings the plan into a current conformance with what's being proposed and what works on the ground. Just for council's consideration, the changes are fairly minor in nature, but they do include a number of easements as well as turning bulbs. The main one I'll note is shown in red on the screen. So the original plan is located outlined in black. So that's the black plan, which does show a small access way located to the stormwater management pond at the north end. The proposed red line amendment removes that access way and instead it classifies it as easements in favor of the stormwater management plan and any kind of servicing that's required. So once again, it just removes that service access location and makes it part of those full lots. So the lots are a little bit bigger, the access way is removed, and then it just is an easement along there as opposed to an actual dedicated service or maintained access way. A couple pictures looking at Highway 23. So works are ongoing, fairly active on the sites. There's a lot of ground moving. Really it pertains primarily mostly to the stormwater management location. That location won't change or be modified overly much. So really you won't see much of a visual change that's happening there. Really, once again, it's an easement or access way discussion and that's being modified. So the stormwater management plan doesn't change. The stormwater management pond really doesn't change inside. There are no substantial changes to the report or technical details, so really it's just modifying where those lot lines exist on the subject property. One comment just was received by one of the neighbors with respect to the additional details that was referred on to North Perth staff just for some follow-up correspondence on that. They were just wondering what was happening with the changes that were going on. So once again, no changes to that pond were really taking place. Policy summary, so the application once again does meet the official plan and zoning. No changes to the blocks, so the blocks remain like is as is. Primarily the access road has been changed for that stormwater management pond, so more of an easement location or access to the north. And then no substantial expansion, so the development's not expanding, it's really maintaining within the existing boundaries. And then it is based on detailed design discussions, that's why the change is being requested. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that North Perth Council support the red line amendment to Plan of Subdivision NP 2303, subject to the conditions listed in the report, which are similar to the original conditions that were proposed, so no change in conditions either to the plan. I'm happy to address or answer any questions at this time.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Garland. Colleagues, questions or comments on this one? Councillor Andreessen.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Kaysenberg. I just wondered if I could have one question addressed according to the pathway. It's on the map here, and I'm assuming that's on the periphery of the stormwater management pond, so that path would still exist, and the pond will still coexist, I guess. So it'd be a safe pathway for the trail.
Through the mayor, that's my understanding is the pathway still exists there or will exist around the stormwater management pond. So this really addresses the access or haul route more or less. So nothing changes to the access way or pathway around that pond.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, I have a resolution for our consideration as follows, that the council receives a report dated July 20th, 2026, entitled Application for Red Line Amendment to Draft Plan of Subdivision NP 23-03, and that North Perth Council recommends to County Council that the application for Red Line Amendment to Draft Plan Subdivision number NP 23-03 by the municipality of North Perth be approved, subject to the conditions listed in the report dated July 20th, 2026. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Rothwell, seconded by Councillor Andreessen. Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Again, Mr. Garland, appreciate it. Next up then are items from the infrastructure. No, actually, we're going to Director of Facilities first. Lucky him. As item 9.2 of our agenda. In item 9.2.1, council is invited to award the contract from a properly conducted tendering process related to construction of a new park in North Perth named Nickel Park. I'll call on Director of Facilities Jeff Newell to present the report on the tendering process and what lies ahead. Welcome, as always, Mr. Newell.
Good evening, Mayor Kaysenberg and members of council. We are talking about Nickel Park and a tender award and a summary. The report seeks approval for the tender award for the development of the park located on the west side of Listowel off of Twomley Street. The proposed park development includes junior and senior playground structures and a multi-purpose sport court. Some of the passive recreation features of this amenity are seating areas, sun and shade structure, gardens, walking trail, and a bocce court. In addition to these amenities, the project would also include the necessary earthworks, site preparation, grading, and landscaping required to support the development of the park. The tender closed on July 7th with 5 comparable submissions. The lowest compliant bid was submitted by 397 Inc., which is the contractor that most recently completed the work on the park in Gowanstown. So they've got a good track record with us. The architects on this are Henry Kortakis and Associates, and they have done consulting on the project and also made a recommendation for 397 Inc. To be awarded the contract. From a budgeting standpoint, the approved budget for this park was $963,000. The lowest bid came in, including $59,500 to date on tender administration. And that causes a budget shortfall of $124,970.27. We've reviewed opportunities to reduce project costs through value engineering, which is look at some ways that we can reduce some of the scope of the project while maintaining the overall function and recreational benefits of the park. As an example, one significant cost-saving measure identified is changing the playground surface from what is a rubberized surface to an engineered wood fiber surface, which is what you would see in most of the parks in North Perth. This was our first shot at looking at a rubberized floor feature. I'm happy to answer any questions. We recommend, that council approve the full tendered amount, and we will look to make some cost savings based on some value engineering. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that people may have.
Councillor Nordum.
Thanks, and through you, Mayor Kaysenberg, thanks for the report, Jeff. This afternoon, after some quick Googling between the difference of wood versus rubber, I'm just curious your opinion on that. It seems that rubber has a very much more longevity and kind of low maintenance compared to wood fiber. Just kind of curious staff's opinion on that. Thank you.
I would agree with your comments, Councillor Nordum, that there is a life expectancy of wood fiber and that it needs to get replaced frequently as it gets compacted over time in the hot spots at the bottom of slides, at the bottom of swing sets. So it does require ongoing maintenance. One of the concerns with a rubberized solution is they haven't been around a long time, so there's no proof that they can last beyond 20 years type of thing. So we would look at that and say, you know, both of them meet accessibility standards, but there's an opportunity for us to save $95,000 to go with what has been our standard practice as far as putting in wood fiber, engineered wood fiber.
Yeah, thanks for the comments, Jeff. Yeah, probably for 95,000, we can probably redo some wood fibers a few times, I'm guessing. So thank you.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Anstead?
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg, through you, and thanks, Jeff. And similar to what Councillor Nordum had to say, I just wanted to touch on the financial piece of it too, and I'm glad you brought it up. The 125,000, everybody's over. I mean, just wonder if you can speak to why everybody was over on this budget. Was it just market pricing, or what was where did we land on this?
I think if we were to reduce that by 95,000, that would certainly bring us into keeping with what we had originally budgeted, realizing that this budget was crafted more than 2 years ago because of the delays in getting the park property and stuff like that. So I think what was the original price has probably been bumped up a little bit, but they are very comparable, all the bids. It wasn't that there was an outlier one way or the other really on those bids.
Thank you.
Can you comment, Mr. Newell, on in terms of sourcing materials that we used in this park? Are we able to find Canadian manufacturers and suppliers for this? Is
Yeah,
this
there's
consideration?
yes, through you, Mayor, there's a process that we have to follow with procurement now to identify homegrown type materials for our projects. So that's something that we would evaluate as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Andreessen.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Kasenberg. Mr. Newell, you made a comment about the actual court being more for bocce ball. Is it open-ended in terms of other recreational sports, or more dedicated to bocce ball? Thanks.
The size of the bocce court wouldn't lend itself to being used for other recreation activities. The trail that goes around is an extensive trail. The passive recreation would be the seating area, the trail, and bocce is seen, which is on the northwest, so the top left. You'll see a lighter gray shaded area there. That's the bocce area there. So it doesn't take up a great deal of space. But given the demographics of that community, we feel that it's a age-appropriate activity and inexpensive and available to people of all ages, and it doesn't require any great level of skill associated with it as well.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with questions or comments? All right. Does council need to give you some sort of consent towards the budget reduction strategy that you've proposed? Do you want that?
I'm not sure exactly what that would require, but what I'm looking for is approval on the recommendation to go with the full budgeted, the full tender amount that they had put in, and then we will look at reducing costs moving forward.
I see. Okay. Colleagues, are you comfortable with that strategy? Can that work? All right. Then I have a resolution for consideration at this point as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth awards request for tender number NP 5424-26T Nickel Park Construction Contract to 397 Inc. of Guelph, Ontario, including provisional items and contingency in an amount of up to $1,028,470.27, excluding taxes. Can I call for a mover on this one? Councillor Andreessen, seconded by Councillor Nordum. Thank you. Any discussion or debate? I'm not seeing any. I think we understand the staff's commitment to due care around the financial matters and to give consideration as appropriate. Everyone ready for the vote then? Let's have it. And that is carried. Nice to have another new park. I like it. All right. Next up are items from Corporate Services Department. Item 9. No, it's Matt. I am really off on my notes tonight, apparently. Okay, we'll get there. Infrastructure services, 9.3. In item 9.3.1, council is invited to grant a contract for the rehabilitation of North Perth structures L1 and L5, very fancy names, bridge and conduit infrastructure in downtown Listowel. Very important stuff. There is some provincial money via the Conservation Authority from the province's WECI funding mechanism. Nice to hear that, CAO Snell. I'll call on Matt Ropp, North Perth's Director of Infrastructure Services, to walk us through this report. Mr. Ropp, welcome. I almost missed you, but I do miss you.
We'll keep everything running smooth, Mayor Todd, no doubt. So, good evening, Mayor and members of council. Tonight I'm here to report on seeking council's approval for award of tender NP 5657 and 58-26T for the rehabilitation of North Perth structures L1 and L5. Structure L1 is known as the Constable James Hamilton Memorial Bridge and is located just on Elizabeth Street, right outside council chambers. Structure L5 is known as a Listowel conduit. This work includes bridge rehabilitation, retaining wall replacement, and railing replacement as shown on the project plan in front of you. So you can see the star is where we're looking at the Elizabeth Street Bridge. The red solid line is the section of conduit wall to be fully replaced, and the yellow dashed line represents the portion of the conduit open channel where we're looking at upgrading the existing railing. The bridge was originally constructed in 1955 and is now in fair to poor condition. This rehabilitation will address concrete and railing deficiencies and is expected to provide an additional 10 to 20 years of useful life before a full replacement is considered. The conduit work involves full replacement of 50-meter section of the east retaining wall between Elizabeth Street and Inkerman Street. The section of wall was constructed in 1963 and has started to show movement since 2023. The remainder of the east wall, which was constructed in 1987, past Shoppers Drug Mart, remains in good condition. 4 bids were received, and staff are recommending award to McLean Taylor Construction, who's the lowest compliant bidder, an amount of $1,895,680.52, excluding taxes. The project remains within approved funding envelopes, which includes allocations from reserves, OCIF grants, and the $500,000 WICI grant that the mayor had mentioned previously, which was secured with help through Maitland Valley Conservation Authority. Subject to council approval, construction is expected to begin after award as early as tomorrow. And construction is anticipated to be wrapping up by the end of November. I just wanted to provide a couple pictures just to give context. So again, this is the section of conduit. You can see the municipal offices in the foreground, or sorry, the background, with looking at the bridge and the conduit walls. Here's a couple images of the bridge. You can see some failing concrete on the fascia of the bridge and the soffit, which is underneath. And this is a section of the retaining wall. You can see where it started to shift off of the adjoining panel. Again, just for some detail, this is the Alma Street Bridge that you're looking at that was recently rehabilitated a few years ago with the Elizabeth Street Bridge that we're considering tonight with this similar look of railings and features of the bridge. So you'll almost have a carbon copy of this look at the Elizabeth Street Bridge. And again, the type of railing that we're considering around the conduit wall, so the open channel section, again, would look very similar to what you're seeing in front of you. It's a fairly common yet practical looking railing for most bridges and areas where we're looking to protect pedestrians that comply with new regulations for standards for height and gaps and spacing. That's all I have for you tonight, Council. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a question immediately, and it's just sort of that vague concern about Remembrance Day and the possibility of construction interfering with Cenotaph services at Remembrance Day. Can you comment on that?
Yep, through the mayor. So we actually had a preliminary pre-con meeting with the contractor last week. It is written in the contract, and we also highlighted that during the meeting that there will be no construction activities that happen on that day, particularly in that morning. I think we gave a time frame from 9 in the morning till after lunchtime to make sure that there's no construction activities happen during the Remembrance Day ceremonies.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, anyone else with comments or questions? Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks very much, Mayor Todd, and thanks very much, Matt. It was very informative to see design features as proposed. Frankly, we don't see that very often, so it's certainly an upgrade in my view from the railings that we currently have in place, which have served their time, but these certainly would be, I think, much more sturdy, at least by looks. And secondly, in terms of the design features on the bridge, proposed bridge, seem to be very much in keeping with design standards. I appreciate that opportunity to see that. Thank you.
Councillor Anstead.
Thanks, Mayor Kasenberg, through you, and thanks, Matt, for your report. I know you touched on the Remembrance Day piece, but just in terms of traffic in general during this, is the bridge going to be completely closed, open, where, maybe I missed it, but I didn't see that. Thanks.
Good question, and through the mayor again. Yes, unfortunately, it's a very restrictive construction site, being that the proximity of the municipal well house, the Shoppers Drug Mart building, makes things very constricted. So once the project does start, the road will be closed, and the limits of the closure are from, Wallace Ave North to Davidson. The contractor is to let local traffic into the municipal property, so traffic can still get around and access the municipal property. And most importantly is making sure that access to the Lismore Memorial Hospital is still maintained. So that's entrance to the main hospital entrance, the emergency entrance, and then there's employee parking lots to the south of the hospital that are to be maintained as well. So the actual physical closure will be from the west limits of the bridge to basically the municipal well house property is all that we're allowing the contractor to have access for the closure of the work itself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. Just a point you had made mention about the hospital. Probably want to make sure that Perth County EMS would, especially ambulance access, if people aren't necessarily seeing the signs and if they're in an emergency situation, giving them a heads up that there might be a bit of a detour to get to the hospital if they just happen to be rolling in. Just a thought, to getting access for parking and visitors to the hospital is one thing, but in an emergency situation, they don't want to necessarily come across something that is, oops, we got to go elsewhere.
Through the mayor, again, great comment. We've had really good dialogue with the hospital and in connection with Perth County EMS about how they're going to reroute their ambulances there as well. We do have advanced notification signs that will be going up as soon as tomorrow to start getting the community on the right path to getting to the hospital, as well as the detour route signed there as well. It will, no different than most other projects, there's always that first few days of getting people used to the closure being there, but we're trying to mitigate some of that as much as we can up front, but with advanced closure notices.
Will we be using some commercial communications vehicles to try to support that as well, like radio ads that the municipality from time to time buys, or an ad in the banner that explains the intended diversionary paths?
Through the mayor, good question on the radio one. We haven't looked at that one yet, but for sure we can connect with our communications team and look at some options.
Okay, great, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I have a resolution for consideration, which needs to be signed tonight, apparently, if we approve, as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth awards request for tender NP 56575826T, North Perth Structure 1 and L1, and L5 rehabilitation contract to McLean Taylor Construction Limited of St. Mary's, Ontario, including provisional items and contingency in an amount of up to $1,895,680.52, excluding taxes. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Rothwell, seconded by Councillor Duncan. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. We are missing one. Councillor Andreessen, how say you? In favor, and so with that, the resolution carries. Thank you, Mr. Ropp, and thank you for attending to the communication and the complexity of helping the public understand the change. All right, finally, we do get to the Corporate Services Department. Mr. Romani has waited patiently for his turn. Item 9.4 on our agenda, looks like he has a couple of items for us tonight. First one, council receives a report subsequent to its earlier interest about topics related to the managing of the sales of the Wallace Township Ward History Book. And Mr. Romani, you want to tell us what the scoop is here?
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg. So as council may recall, on the June 8th council meeting, staff were directed to report back on the potential sale and inventory management of the Wallace history books. Given council's previous financial support for this community project and the value of preserving local history, staff are supportive of assisting with the book sales. This required administration, including inventory, tracking, payment processing, customer service, so on and so forth, can be managed within existing processes if limited to this initiative. To avoid establishing long-term administration of the program, we are recommending to council to approve this, the municipal sale of the Walsh history books for a defined 2-year term, beginning when the books are able to be sold. So with that, Ed, happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romani. Straightforward report. Colleagues, questions, comments? Councillor Nordham.
Thanks, Mayor Kaysenberg, and thank you, Ashton, for the report. Just curious on how staff might be going about the sales. Like, are they going to go to bring a box to, say, the Home and Lifestyle show next year or something like that? Thank you.
Yeah. Through your Mayor Kaysenberg, I believe the intent is just to sell it at the municipal office. If that the committee wants to sell it outside of the municipality, we can certainly loan some out, and they'll provide us the funds, and we'll log them accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, I have a resolution as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the municipality selling the Wallace history books for a 2-year term. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Johnston, seconded by Councillor Nordham. Any discussion or debate? Sorry, before we go, do we have a publication date for this thing? Like, is it 2 years from the publication date?
But once we receive the physical books.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure that I understood what we're voting on. Okay, everyone ready for the question? Let's have it. And that is carried. I was trying to trick Clerk Raftis here tonight, see whether I could hold her off from jumping too quickly on that vote. All right. Item 9.4.2, staff bring forward an interesting report from the Municipal Finance Officers Association of Ontario, and it calls on the province of Ontario to make the Enhanced Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, or OSIF funding, commitment permanent beyond 2026. It is an important issue worthy of our consideration. I'll call on Mr. Romani again to tell us about that, since I'm quite sure he belongs to the organization and he understands very well what OSIF means and doesn't mean to our community and other communities. Mr. Romani.
Yes, so thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg. And as you mentioned, this report is seeking support for a resolution being advanced by the Municipal Finance Officers Association, or known as MFOA, requesting that the province make the Enhanced Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund commitment permanent beyond the 2026 year. So as some councillors may recall, the province doubled the OCIF funding from $200 million to $400 million beginning 2020 through a 5-year commitment. That enhanced funding is currently scheduled to end after the 2026 allocation year, creating uncertainty for municipalities that have incorporated this funding into the long-term capital plans, similar to North Perth. For North Perth, OCIF is a significant source of infrastructure funding. In 2026, the municipality will receive approximately $1.13 million, an increase of from approximately $1.03 million in 2025. So for greater clarity, our current 10-year capital forecast assumes utilizing $8.5 million of OCIF funding over the next 10 years to support the rehabilitation and replacement of critical infrastructure assets and help reduce reliance on property taxes. So similar to the conduit that you just awarded, around $713,000 of OCIF funding is allocating towards that project. So as council is also aware, through our asset management plan, the municipality manages over $1 billion in infrastructure assets and continues to face substantial infrastructure renewal needs across roads, bridges, water, wastewater, stormwater systems, facilities, and other municipal assets. Predictable and sustainable funding sources are essential if municipalities are to effectively plan for these long-term infrastructure requirements. So our current long-term capital financing strategy assumes the continued availability of OCIF funding at current funding levels. Similar to our infrastructure levy, OCIF plays an important role in help narrowing the municipality's infrastructure gap. Should the enhanced funding commitment not continue beyond 2026, council may face increased pressure on infrastructure levy requirements, the potential need to defer capital initiatives, or additional reliance on debt financing. Supporting this resolution provides council with an opportunity to advocate, along with other participating municipalities and the MFOA, for continued provincial investment in municipal infrastructure and support a funding program that has been critical to small, rural, and northern communities across Ontario. So based on the importance of the predictable infrastructure funding to North Perth's long-term financial sustainability and asset management objectives, staff are recommending that the council support the proposed resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Back of the napkin math, if we had to replace a $1.1 million hole from OCIF funding in the municipal budget, that's about 5% property tax increase.
Correct.
Alone. So it's not a small or trivial matter. Okay. Colleagues, questions or first comments? Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks, Mayor Todd, and through you, thanks very much, Ashton, for bringing this matter forward. Clearly, municipal finance officers are doing their due diligence to bring this matter to the awareness of every municipality, and hopefully the chorus of people of municipalities will sing the same song and encourage the provincial governments to, in fact, give stable funding continuously onwards. So I think that's, we've sung that song before, and I'm quite happy to sing another song. Thank you.
Councillor Rothwell and I actually do sing, so I mean, if you want to sing a song, we can sing a song. All right. And we can drag Councillor Andreessen into this too. I know that she enjoys singing as well. Indeed. Anyone else wishing to offer comment on this matter? You know, asset management is a significant advance, I think, in the broad scheme of municipal governance. And I'll come to you in a moment. And it needs to come with protected funding. Not, you know, they said, here's the obligation, here's the rules and procedures. Now you need to help us manage this. And you know, some of the fascinating stats, and I can't 100% vouch for them, but when you look at the total tax burden in Canada and consider the allocation between the federal government, the provincial government, and municipalities, municipalities are clocking below 10% of the total tax burden in the country. So, you know, we're doing a whole lot of work, a whole lot of infrastructure work especially, and yet it's not our level of government that's getting the lion's share of the money from the tax base. So I think this is an important issue, and I'm certainly wholeheartedly going to lend my voice to it. Councillor Andreessen, did you have your hand up? Sorry, I missed that earlier.
Yes, thank you. In terms of advocacy, will this be circulated to other small rural municipalities, or has it already been done so? I'm just wondering, I think it would be good to share this abroad in Ontario with our partnering rural municipalities.
Through Mayor Kassenberg, particularly this resolution was shared with all MFOA members, which is the majority of municipalities in Ontario. But as far as the circulation goes, I'm assuming we can circulate accordingly.
Right, and I think we should probably amend the resolution slightly so that we send our letter of support to all other municipalities in Ontario, to AMO, to Roma, to our MPP, and to our MP, and probably to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing and Finance in the process. So if we can add a little codicil, I think that seems like a reasonable augmentation to this request. I see lots of heads nodding. That's good. Okay, anyone else with questions or comments? All right, so I have the resolution. Understand that I don't have the words for the second part of it, but I have the first part of it as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth supports the Municipal Finance Officers Association of Ontario's request to the Province of Ontario to make the Enhanced Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund OSIF funding commitment permanent beyond 2026. Moved by Councillor Rothwell, seconded by Councillor Andreessen. Any discussion further? There is that one additional clause in here. All right, seeing none and assuming that we're voting on the whole thing with the additional clause, let's have that vote. And that is unanimously carried. It is a good thing for us to become advocates on this piece. This issue of asset management is going to consume a lot of time and a lot of money over the next 10, 15 years. And future councils are going to be left scrambling if there isn't a solution to some of these structural issues in the financing paths between the province and municipality of North Perth. So, and we're not alone. I know we're not alone, but it is an important issue that is hard for people to understand, but that's where we are. All right, thank you for that. Mr. Romani, thank you for both of your reports tonight. Let's turn to item 10 on our agenda. Does any member of council wish to seek a report from either staff or from a committee? Councillor Andreessen, I see your microphone on, so go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Kaysenberg. I'd like to request a report from staff with an update of the status of the tent situation with the Gowanstown Vintage Barn, based on the delegation by Curtis Martin most recently. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Are we prepared to, is staff prepared to respond to this tonight, or do you wish to have some time to prepare a written response?
Through you, Mayor, I think that we would like some additional time just to prepare a response. There have been some updates since the delegation at the last council meeting, but staff can bring forward a report to provide the information for council's awareness in due time.
Thank you. It seems like it would be appropriate, given there was a story in the banner as well about this topic that leaves some degree of puzzle anyway. Okay, so does staff want a resolution to direct it, or yes? All right.
Yes, we would prefer a resolution.
All right, so the resolution probably reads as follows, that the council directs staff to prepare a report for to address the issues related to the delegation by party Martin and Advocate at the council, the last council meeting, was that when that happened? I think a couple council meetings ago. Do we have a date on that council meeting by any chance? It was the one I was absent for, so it was June. Regarding the Gowanstown Vintage Barn, yeah.
Through you, Mayor Kaysenberg, I believe it was June 22nd.
Thank you. That sounds right to me. Okay, you got sort of the gist of that, Lindsay? Okay. Moved by Councillor Andreessen. I'm going to assume she waves her hand. Can I call for a seconder? Councillor Anstett will second that. Thank you. Any discussion or debate on that direction? Okay, seeing none, let's have that vote.
I'm in favor.
Councillor Richardson records a manual in favor vote.
So am I.
Councillor Johnston records a manual in favor vote. And with that, we have the 9 accounted for. That resolution is carried. Anyone else wishing a report at this time? I'm not seeing it. Let's move to item 11. We have no items of correspondence for consideration or disposition beyond that which was in the consent agenda tonight. At this point, as item 12, we turn to the consideration of 2 bylaws that have been recommended to us for action. The enabling resolution outlines for these bylaws their number and purpose. Before I read that resolution for our consideration, does any councillor wish an individual recorded or extracted vote on this? I'm not seeing it, so I will put the resolution on the floor as follows: that bylaw 52-2026 be read a first and second time and be provisionally adopted, and that the following bylaw is hereby passed: 53-2026 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 6-ZB-1999 as amended, the zoning bylaw. Moved by Deputy Mayor Kellum, seconded by Councillor Richardson. Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this matter? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. That brings us to item 13 on our agenda. Does any councillor wish leave to give notice of motion for our next meeting or a future meeting? I'm not seeing that, so that brings us to item 14 on our agenda. Are there any announcements that would be of benefit to our community or that reflect well on North Perth at this time? I'm assuming Councillor Andreessen is going to speak about the Listowel Agricultural Fair. Councillor Andreessen.
Yes, thank you through you, Mayor Kasenberg. I just want to congratulate the Listowel Agricultural Society on a successful 170th fair. We had pretty good skies and no rain that washed us out, so it was a really great event and great to celebrate as a community together. And I just want to thank the great power of volunteerism that contributed to the event. And I know many people here in this room were involved, and I appreciate that, and want to thank all of our volunteers to make it a successful event. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else with announcements? Excellent, thank you. That will move forward then. There's no closed session meeting of council tonight. Because of that, we can also move past item 16 on our agenda. There's nothing to report about a closed session meeting. Council has a mandated good practice acts near the end of its meeting agenda to confirm all of its actions and business through what is called a confirmatory bylaw. I have a draft of a resolution for a confirmatory bylaw as follows: that bylaw 54-2026 being a bylaw to confirm generally previous actions of the council of the municipality of North Perth is hereby passed. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Andreessen, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion or debate on this matter? Seeing none, let's have that vote. We are missing one.
I'm in favor, I did vote.
There we go. There we go. And now we have all 9, and that is carried. Thank you. Cyberspace is a beautiful thing. All right, colleagues, I can confirm no intention to veto any item that has been brought before this council as business tonight. I provide this information in a written affirmation to the clerk as part of my required duties as mayor. It has been a meeting, and here we are nearing the end. We've completed deliberation and taken action on things. Apparently, we're dropping things now too. That's exciting. It is thus appropriate for us to consider a resolution to adjourn, and I have one as follows. The council meeting adjourns at 8:28 p.m. to meet again for general council business on Monday, August 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Johnston, seconded by Councillor Nordum. It's not debatable. Let's have that vote. And that is carried. I keep thinking we should say hip hip hooray at the end of the adjournment motion. I don't know. All right, we've done it. The next council meeting is Monday, August 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Until our next